Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. This morning's reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto number 6, chapter 2, text number 28. Vriddho Anatho Pitaro Nanya Bandhu Tapasvino Oho Mayadhuna Tyaktva Akrita Yena Nichavat Vriddhau Ananto Pitro Nanya Bandhu Tapasvino Aho Mayaduna Tyaktva Akrita Yena Nischavat Vriddhau Nato Pitro Nanya Bandhu Tapasvino Aho Mayaduna Tyaktva Akrita Yena Nichavat. Anyone?
Vrindavananto Pitaro Nanya Bandhu Tapasvino
Bandhu Tapasvino Aho Mayaduna Tyaktva Kritagena Yakshata Yavanata Pitra Nanya Bandhu Tapasvino Aho Mayaduna Tyaktva Kritagena Nischavat Yavanato Pitro Nanya Bandhu Tapasvino Aho Mayaduna Tyaktva Akritagena Nischa. Mothers, Nanya Bandhu Tapasvino Aho Mayaduna Tyaktva Akritagena Nischavat. Nanya Bandhu Tapasvino Aho Mayaduna Tyaktva Vriddho, old, Ananto, who had no other persons to look after their comforts. Petro, my father and mother. Na Anya Bandhu, who had no other friends. Tapasvino, who underwent great difficulties. Aho, alas, Maya, by me. Adhuna, at that moment. Tyaktva, were given up. Akritayena, ungrateful. Nichavat, like the most abominable low-class person. Translation purport is Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivinoda Swami Prabhupada. My father and mother were old and had no other son or friends to look after them. Because I did not take care of them, they lived with great difficulty. Alas, like an abominable low-class man, I ungratefully left them in that condition. purport. According to Vedic civilization, everyone has the responsibility for taking care of brahmanas, old men, women, children, and cows. This is the duty of everyone, especially the upper class persons. Because of his association with the prostitute, Ajamil abandoned all his duties. Regretting this, Ajamil now considered himself quite fallen. Om Ajnana Triminandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshusmritam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurue Namaha Vanchakalpatrubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyascha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So it's very interesting in this section of Srimad Bhagavatam. We've been studying the story of Ajamil, and we have heard from past few speakers about different aspects of Ajamil's life. But in this particular verse, Prabhupada is emphasizing how important it is for the society to develop in such a way that everyone's needs are taken care of. Today we see that we have become a very selfish society. Everyone thinks for themselves, but nobody thinks of others. And if you do think about someone else's welfare, then there is some very serious motive behind it. What is my gain in this? Even to the point where, specifically mentioned here, that Ajamil, due to his bad association, he abandoned his father and mother in a very pitiful condition. He's regretting now due to his realization by the mercy of the Vishnu Dutas. But we see in our own lives, when we were born into this material world as a helpless little child, we can do nothing for ourselves. But the father and mother, especially the mother, takes upon great responsibility to take care of you, nurture you, feed you, clean you, and bring you up to good health. And even if in a child, I've experienced my own self, that when I used to get sick, my mother used to fuss all over me until I'm in my full health. And she would not sleep or eat unless I'm fully healthy and in good condition. So much sacrifice. And then later on, when it is time to repay our debts to the father and mother, we abandon them. This is the society, In the olden days, in the very sort of not quite Vedic culture, but you can say maybe 100 years back, culture in India was still very prominent that the needs of the father and mother were taken care of until they depart from this world. And the concept of old people's home was never even entertained. But now in this country, there are so many old people's home. People are being abandoning them because they feel that this father and mother are a burden to me. I want to enjoy my life. And our position is very similar to Ajamil. That somehow we came into this material world, and from the very beginning, we have been attracted to the modes of material nature and attracted to sense enjoyment. Here at least we can see that Ajamil was brought up as a very high-class Brahmin. So he had a very good upbringing. And he was nurtured nicely. But unfortunately, due to his bad association, he deviated from his good path and good upbringing and went into bad association. And due to that, of course, he was very much in a fallen condition and he was doing all abominable and degrading activities. But we, from the very beginning of our birth, we come into this world, and although we get a good upbringing, and I'm sure no parents would wish their child to become a debauch, a renegade, or a useless person. Every parent wishes that their child would become an ideal person in the society. So nobody has a bad upbringing. Even if you're living in the most poverty conditions situation, still the parents are considering how best to bring this child up and provide all the best for the child. But the influence of the material nature is such that it drags us into the undercurrents of enjoyment. And from the very beginning, we begin to develop taste for sense enjoyment. And we are so much engrossed into the sense enjoyment that we forget what is our real goal. Of course, we have heard from many times the prayers of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, that when we are in the womb of the mother, we are praying to the Supreme Lord, that, dear Lord, get me out of this miserable condition. This condition is not suitable for me. And in that desperate prayer, we are thinking of the Supreme Lord. But as soon as we enter into this material world, we forget that prayer. We forget the Supreme Lord. We think, wow, this is the phantasmagoria. This is the world I want to come and enjoy. And we begin to prepare life of enjoyment until our good fortune changes and a great personality comes in our life. Of course, here, Ajamil, due to his upbringing, at least he gave his child the name Narayan. And his desperate time, when he was departing this world, in his helpless condition, he's calling out Narayan, Narayan, Narayan. But he's not calling the Supreme Lord. He's only calling his son. But the Supreme Lord, he is not thinking that, oh, he's just calling his son. He's saying, he's calling out my name. And anyone who takes my shelter, then I am obliged to give him shelter. So obviously, he sends his Vishnu Dutas to rescue Ajamil. In our case, we are not in desperate condition. But still, a great personality like Srila Prabhupada, more than Vishnu Duta, comes and freely gives us his mercy. And he gives us opportunity to awaken our dormant love for the Supreme Lord, which was already there when we were in the womb of the mother. And we have become forgetful. So here, Prabhupada has come and he has inundated the whole world with Krishna consciousness. Can you just imagine that we are now going to celebrate 50 years of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness? 50 years ago, what was the condition of Vrindavan? Although the Supreme Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sent his two stalwart disciples, Sanatana Goswami and Rupa Goswami, to re-establish Vrindavan so that the fallen souls of Kali Yuga can take shelter of the Dham and reconnect themselves with the Supreme Lord. But of course, over the passage of time, it was forgetful. Few pilgrims were coming here, hardly anybody visiting Vrindavan. My personal experience is that when I first came to India in 1982, after joining ISKCON, 3 years in the temple, we were given a free passage to come to the Dham, Mayapur Vrindavan trip. Because of 3 years of hard work is rewarded by coming to the Dham. So we came here with a group of devotees from UK. And I still remember, I was sitting in the front gate, chanting japa. And in the morning, you see nothing. No auto rickshaws, no motorized cars. And from morning till evening, you sit out there, and you will probably see hardly one old banged up ambassador passing through. And if that is once in a while. And right across, as far as the eye can see, is just open land. And just down the road here, there was an old wooden shack where the shopkeeper across the road is now, in his opulence, was in a wooden shack sitting with a clay pot, churning away buttermilk and lemon water. That was all Vrindavan, nothing else. And now you see Vrindavan is more than a city. Although we still consider Vrindavan as a village, but it's like a city. Everywhere you see skyscrapers coming up, people everywhere. And most amazing thing is that you'll find people of every nationality walking the streets of Vrindavan. How amazing this is. This is simply because one great Vaishnava, pure devotee of the Lord, came to this world simply to profusely give the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And by mercy of Prabhupada, he has touched millions of hearts. And why I say millions and millions? Although they haven't still taken up Krishna consciousness, but they are recipient of one of these transcendental literature. Since the inception of ISKCON, billions of books have gone out. Everybody has either touched the book, read the book, met the devotees, and they are all waiting now just for right time, and they will manifest their love for Krishna. So just like the Vishnu Duta's association changed Ajamil back to his real consciousness, and he is regretting what he has done. Similarly, we are in the same position. But by the mercy of Prabhupada, he has come, he has opened our hearts, he has reawakened our dormant love for Krishna. But still, we are not regretful of things we have done. The first quality of showing appreciation for the mercy which we have received is to repay our debts and show regret of all wrongdoings we have done in our lives. And after regretting, at least atone for it. Of course, you can never change what you have already done. They say that once you have acted sinfully, the act is already done. You cannot undo it. Unfortunately, we don't have a rewind button that we can press rewind and go back and then edit everything again and then start all over again. That is not possible in our lives. But at least we can be mindful of what we have done. And sometimes we consider reading the passages of Srimad Bhagavatam, story of Ajamil. Oh, Ajamil was very sinful. He left his beautiful wife, he left his children, he left his mother and father, and went to the prostitute and enjoying himself in lower enjoyments. Oh, but I am not doing that. But we may not be doing same thing as Ajamil, but still we are indulging in low-class activities of sin. Even if you don't physically indulge, even thinking about it is there. So how many of us are really conscious and aware that now by the mercy of Prabhupada, I've come to Krishna consciousness, I have to become serious. This is my opportunity now to pay my debts back to Srila Prabhupada and say, I will now make 100% effort to become pure. But we are saying, well, I'm saved now. I've come to ISKCON. Jai Shri Krishna Balaram, Shri Radha Samsundar, Shri Gaunita. I have come to ISKCON, and now I've been fortunate enough to meet a spiritual master, and now I've got a nice spiritual name. I am now a Vaishnava. I am a devotee of the Lord. So therefore I don't need to worry now. I'm saved. But that is not that you are saved simply because you have come to ISKCON and you've taken shelter of a spiritual master and been initiated. The day you take Diksha, you're officially taking vows in front of the Vaishnavas, in front of the Yagya, in front of the Lord, and saying, I am now going to make my vows to become a perfect Vaishnava. And from that day onwards, every day is an endeavor to become purer and purer and purer. And I've heard many devotees have given class here, and they say, after 20 years, 30 years, 40 years of chanting Hare Krishna, I don't feel any great change in me, except that when I look in the mirror to put my tilak on, I see, an aged man rather than the young, vibrant youth. That's the only difference. And lots of aches and pains in the body, but don't feel that attraction for Krishna. I don't feel any attraction for chanting the holy names. Because when we are given this mercy of the Lord and introduced to the chanting of the holy name, which is the Yuga Dharma for delivering ourselves from the bondage and clutches of this material world, we are given the holy name and we chant Hare Krishna. But how many of us have developed taste for chanting Hare Krishna? Most of us feel that, okay, now that I've come, I've made a vow, I go to chant 16 rounds, so we make an endeavor. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. Chant. And some people are so not enthusiastic, I say, but so eager to finish the round. They go, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare. You know, as if it is a race to finish chanting. But chanting is a cry to the Lord that please help me out of this material world. I want to come out of this world. And then in our chanting, Prabhupada says that our chanting is praying to the Lord that the only way I can come out of this material world is be fully engaged me 24 hours a day in your remembrance of you, in your service to you, offering service to Vaishnavas, and always praying. But we are eager to finish our rounds. And as soon as we finish our 16 rounds, we say, deed done for the day. And then when we finish our 16 rounds, say, okay, that's my duty is done for the day. No. Prabhupada has given us a minimum standard. He says this is at least minimum requirement of 16 rounds. He did not say maximum requirement. He said this is minimum requirement. So what happens in a normal world? Minimum is that this is at least this much is required. But once you have done your minimum duty, then you go next level up and try and do more. Because chanting is 24/7 activity. Because idle mind is devil's workshop. As soon as you stop chanting, then your mind wanders here, there and everywhere. And then you want to again be a victim of the pools of material sense enjoyment. And the waves of Maya are always all around us. There's analogies given that if you go on the shore of the ocean, in the point where the water is meeting the land, the water is not so powerful. You can sort of pedal around. But as you go deeper and deeper, the undercurrents are stronger. And if you're not a very strong, able person, you can very easily be dragged underneath. And before you know it, you are just pulled into the ocean and you're lost. And obviously, if you are not a good swimmer, then that will be the end of you for this life. So, in terms of the analogy, the waves of Maya are all around us. But we take it for granted that, oh, Maya is not going to touch me. Maya is only for those people who are in Maya or who are karmis who have no Krishna consciousness. But I'm a devotee now. I've got neck beads and I'm chanting japa and I'm following principles of Krishna consciousness. So Maya is not going to touch me. But of course, Maya has no respect for anyone. She will come and touch even the best of the best. One small slip up and she will move in. She will move so fast that you won't be able to close the door before even you realize. And once Maya comes in, that's it. You will be struggling. And it's very easy to lose our mercy. That's why Prabhupada says that this mercy of the Supreme Lord, when it's given to an individual, you should guard it very carefully. An analogy Prabhupada is given is like an expert gardener. That expert gardener, when he's nurturing the garden, he's taking care of all the creepers with great care, because very easily these creepers can be destroyed. And our creeper of devotion is still in his infancy. When the creeper is in his infancy, it is very easily it can be destroyed. So this creeper of devotion has to be nurtured and guarded, so that as we are watering the creeper with our chanting, our devotion, our serving the Lord and the Vaishnavas, the creeper becomes stronger, to the point that it is so strong and deeply rooted in the heart, and the top part of the creeper is almost touching to the lotus feet of the Lord, then nothing will waver you. For example, someone like very high example of a personality, Haridas Thakur, when he was absorbed in his chanting, nothing could touch him. He was so absorbed in his chanting that even Maya Devi herself approached Haridas Thakur to disturb him, and Haridas says, okay, no problem, you wait. I will take care of all your needs. I'm a Vaishnava, and Vaishnava is compassionate to all, is fulfilling everyone's desire. So I will fulfill all your desires. But I have my duty to be done. And my duty is to chant the holy name of the Lord, which I have promised the Lord. So he's chanting. And Maya Devi cannot touch him. But you and I, if opportunity comes, we say, nobody's looking. Let me do it. And later on, I will repent. Because when it's given on a plate for you to enjoy, nobody says no. Temptation is so great. Unless, of course, you are so fixed like Haridas Thakur that you say, no, I will not touch. I don't want Maya. Instead, I will turn the other way and walk away from Maya. But it is very difficult to walk away when the allurement of sense enjoyment comes as very freely and wants to embrace you. You'll become a victim of it. So it's unless until we are fully fixed, then Maya can move in. And this is where we have to learn from at least the story of Ajamil, that how we can protect ourselves. Because as we are reading in the story of Ajamil, that simply by a moment's association of Vishnu Duta, he realized all his wrongdoings. And he was now repenting, and he's trying to figure out how to change things. But what is already done cannot be undone. So what we have already done, we cannot undo it. But at least we can sin no more. We can protect ourselves from further sinful activities, further sense enjoyment. Of course, in Krishna consciousness, it's not everything is dull. Everything is so transcendental that every senses can be catered for to give the fulfillment of sense enjoyment, but in a spiritual way. For example, the tongue is always very, very ferocious in its demands for tasteful things. He wants to eat. So, of course, Prabhupada said, you satisfy the tongue by taking wonderful Krishna prasadam. And the other aspect of the tongue is always he wants to wag. Yap, 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 talk all garbage. It is the nature of the tongue to satisfy that sense of speaking. So, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Yare dekho tare kaho Krishna upadesh. Wherever you go, who are you? As soon as you open your mouth, then anything that goes in should be only Krishna prasadam. And anything that comes out should be Krishna Katha or the holy name. And if you stick to that, you will never go wrong. And the tongue will be fully satisfied. Similarly with the eyes, instead of observing all the mundane offerings of the world, focus them on the beautiful form of the Lord, or you see the beauty of the nature, the Lord's creation, and try to see the Lord in these things. For example, in the Bhagavad Gita it says that I am the test of the water. Now we are all, especially in India, I find myself always thirsty. In UK, the temperatures are nice and cool, so you don't feel so thirsty. You can practically go half a day without drinking water and you'll still be quite okay. But here, from morning till night, I'm always sweating. That means my body is losing water. So there's demand for water. And we take the water and drink and be satisfied. But do we think this is the test of Krishna? Krishna says, I am the test of water. Do you ever think that this water I am drinking is Krishna? It's the test of Krishna. Because Krishna conscious means you see Krishna in everything. But we drink water every day and we take it for granted. Of course, as I said, when I first came in 82, we didn't have Bisleri water. We didn't have bottled water. We had to drink water from the pumps and everything, and we had a lot of problems. So we used to bring our puri tabs, small tiny tablets of chlorine, stick it in 1 liter water, and then we are drinking a lot of chlorine, just to protect ourselves from health. But then the downside of drinking a lot of chlorine is you get other side effects. The point is, we were not thinking that this is Krishna, this is the mercy of the Lord, fresh, uncontaminated water, cooling and soothing, and replenishing all the lost water in the body and makes you very healthy again. But it's nice water, but we never think this is Krishna. When you look at the beautiful sunrise in the morning, and we are appreciating sunrise, a lot of people have spent thousands of dollars going to the special holiday resorts just to see the sunrise or the sunset. But do we see that when on the eastern horizon, when the sun is just rising, and with the full eyes you can see directly into the sun, because at that time the sun's power is not so hot that it will burn your eyes, but it's so cooling. Do we think this is Krishna's eyes? Krishna is looking at me? On a Purnima day, full moon night, we can think about everything but Krishna. We see a beautiful moon and say, well, it's time for romance, moonlight dinner and all that nonsense. But we don't think this is Krishna. We don't see Krishna. Fresh air we are breathing. We take it for granted. But Krishna is providing everything. So do we think about Krishna when all these wonderful things which we require for good sustenance, do we think about Krishna? We don't think about Krishna. So our training should be, as soon as we come to Krishna consciousness, we read the literatures, we understand the signs of Krishna consciousness, we should begin training ourselves. I want to see Krishna. I want to see Krishna. How I see Krishna. And if you keep thinking about it, then one day Krishna is saying, this guy is always saying he wants to see me, he wants to see me. And then sometimes Krishna says, okay, let me come and see you. And then he will give you darshan. Every day we are eager to see the altar, and I see people are rushing and pushing and shoving to get as close to the altar as possible. And then sometimes you're right at the back and say, wow, I wish I was a senior devotee or a sannyasi, then I can be in the front. And I can see the Lord very in close proximity. But thing is that you may be right on the altar itself. But there's an old English saying, so near and yet so far. Because being closer to Krishna is not with the physical proximity. It is your heart. If you've given your heart to Krishna, then he's sitting right next to you. The soul and the super soul are right there, next to each other. You don't have to go looking for him elsewhere. But we cannot see the super soul in the heart. Then how we are going to see the Supreme Lord? See, our language is how we relate to Krishna. We come to the temple and say, wow, deities are looking so beautiful today. That is impersonal thinking. But if you say, oh, wow, Krishna and Balaram are so majestic today, then you're actually thinking about Krishna and Balaram. You're not looking at a deity. Deity is a form of the Lord, made out of either stone, wood, or metal. But when you actually see, as Prabhupada explains, the deity is non-different from the Supreme Lord. He is Krishna, and she is Radharani. It's non-different. Then when we actually see and address them as Krishna, Balaram, or Radha and Shyama-Sundar, then we actually understanding that these are the Lord, and we are actually connecting with the Supreme Lord as the Lord Himself, rather than just the form of the Lord. Because if you see the form of the Lord, then your relationship will only be up to that point that you are only seeing the form, but you're not actually getting closer to the Lord. You are not going to connect with the Lord. Just like Dhruva Maharaj, when he was given darshan of the Lord, he went with some material motivations in his heart. But after seeing the very beautiful form of the Lord, he was awestruck. He was lost for words. And then the Lord could understand that he is completely mesmerized by my beauty. He gave him special mercy and touched his head with the conch shell. And immediately Dhruva Maharaj's mouth was overflowing with beautiful glorification of the Lord. And then the Lord says, okay, enough of this glorification business. What is your real purpose you came for? I know why you came for, but I want to hear from your mouth why you came to see me. And Dhruva Maharaj said, now that I've seen you, I don't need anything. I came with the motivation, but I don't want anything. Now, we are seeing the Lord every day. Do we tell the Supreme Lord, now that I've seen you, Lord, I don't want anything. All I want is you. But we don't think that way. Why? Because we are still not connecting. So how we connect with the Supreme Lord is that every moment we have to pray. And pray in desperation. Like a child, as Prabhupada said, a child crying for his mother's attention. The child needs care because he's helpless. And as soon as the child is crying, the mother says, oh, my child is crying. Why? He needs feeding, he needs cleaning. And mother comes immediately and pay attention to the child and comforts the child. So similarly, when our crying is there, and I don't say literally stand in front of the Lord and tears coming out, and that crying will not help you. Crying from the heart. You cry from the heart, and in desperation that Krishna, you are only my shelter. I can do nothing without you. Only you can help me, and I want to be with you. Then Krishna says, since you are coming to me without any motivation, without any desire for anything else, then Krishna will come. And when Krishna embraces you, you don't want, this material world is as good as Vaikuntha. Because for one who has understood Krishna, doesn't matter where he is, everything is spiritual world. Because ultimately, even this material world is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. Just for example, Srila Prabhupada was walking down Manhattan, when we had the skyscraper. He came down and he was walking down at 7 o'clock for his morning walk, and he was surrounded by some devotees. And that time, 7 o'clock in the morning, Manhattan is buzzing with people rushing around, going to work, doing this, that, and aimlessly trying to figure out how to enjoy. And Prabhupada was very peacefully chanting japa. And one devotee asked Srila Prabhupada, don't you miss Vrindavan? And Prabhupada said, no, this is Vrindavan. Because Prabhupada was carrying Vrindavan with him all the time. His consciousness of Vrindavan. He never left Vrindavan. Physically, he may be in a different area of geographic location, but his heart, his mind, everything is in Vrindavan. So for Prabhupada, everywhere is Vrindavan. He doesn't see anything separate from Krishna. But you and I, we make a long journey from wherever our residence is. For example, mine is UK. From all the way from UK, I come here. So I'm going to the holy Dham, Vrindavan. But Prabhupada actually said in one lecture that Bhaktivedanta Manor is Vrindavan, is Gokulananda's land. This is Vrindavan, not different from Vrindavan. But I don't appreciate Gokulananda's Vrindavan as when I come here, because here I'm physically coming thinking, this is on the map of India saying Vrindavan. So now I'm in the holy Dham. But wherever Krishna is worshipped with love and devotion, that is Vrindavan. If you carry him in your heart, you are in Vrindavan. Vrindavan is everywhere. But we are thinking the holy Dham. And then when we come to the holy Dham, what do? Prabhupada says, when you come to the holy Dham, your sadhana must increase, your chanting must increase, your hearing must increase, your reading must increase, serving the Vaishnava must increase. But we do everything but these basic principles of Krishna Bhakti. We run around here, there, everywhere, thinking I'll find Krishna here, I'll find Krishna there, and we go all over the place. In fact, Prabhupada says that if you come to Vrindavan Dham, the four walls of Krishna Balaram temple is the center of the universe. Everything is here. You don't need to go out. But we go out. We think we'll find Krishna here, we'll find Krishna there, we'll find Krishna there. And then we come back, I got hassled by the rickshawala, I got hassled by the pandawala, and you begin to, commit offenses to the people who are residing in the Dham. And what happens? Instead of making advancement in your spiritual life, you make offense, and then you're pouring water on your devotional creeper and destroying it. Because, when you water a creeper, it has to be watered gently. All of a sudden the tsunami comes of offenses, then boom, gone. And then to revive that, it will take a long time. So, of course, this is the aspect of understanding where in this passage of Bhagavatam where Ajamil is showing regret. And that regret, we should also have the similar mood that, okay, I have done things. Let me at least be mindful now that I do not repeat these things, and be careful that as I'm going forward in my spiritual journey that I'm developing more and more and more. Because every day gone past is an opportunity lost. You cannot gain that one day back. Never mind a day, even a second gone past cannot be gotten back. So every day we are losing time. Time is very precious. So every moment we should think how I can make myself more Krishna conscious, how I can become more and more focused in my spiritual life and my endeavors. Then, of course, when you are constantly thinking of this, then you are Krishna conscious, because you're always thinking about Krishna and becoming Krishna conscious. So then there's no room for any other thinking. or any other allurements of Maya, then you'll make progress. Because remember, death is a shameless person, the personality of death. It can come to you anytime, any moment. It is not that death will say, well, he's a young man, I'll wait till he's 19 or 100, then I will approach him and say, now your body is old and useless, so now I want you to give up your body, so I will take you away. No, it will come in your prime of your life. It will come at the most opportune moment, when you're not ready, and it will come. Then what happens? I will give you one example, two examples of how my own personal experience. When myself and one of my colleagues, we came to Delhi as part of our campaign to get newspapers in India to put up articles and make awareness to the local government here in India that we are having so much problems with the British government who are trying to close our center down. And myself and Vimal Krishna were traveling in Delhi, going towards Connaught Place to visit one newspaper editor. And we were sitting there in a rickshawala. And rickshawala, I don't know, in that time of the moment, about 7 in the morning, was probably under the influence of drug or something. He was driving very waywardly. And all of a sudden, he went and hit the side barrier, and then the rickshaw toppled over, and he started sliding. And in the front, there was a truck, and behind us was the infamous Delhi buses. All broken shack and no brakes. And he's coming, and we are right in between, and I'm thinking. And at that point, I saw the Bank of Japan. So I was telling my friend Vimal Krishna, my God, even in Delhi they have a Bank of Japan. And I was thinking of a Japanese bank. And I could have very easily killed at that point, because there's a truck in the front, a bus without brakes behind, and in a tiny rickshaw can be squashed, like a mosquito between your fingertips. And I was thinking, after the incident, because we survived, I was thinking, my God, if I had left my body then, I was thinking of Bank of Japan. What would my condition be? Even though I'm on my service to the Lord here, I'm going from point A to point B to meet the editor in the service to save the temple of the Lord. But I'm thinking about the Bank of Japan. And what would happen to me? I would be thinking, Japanese. Most likely I would be born somewhere in Japan. And if I was born in Japan as a Japanese, no disrespect to the Japanese people, but unless you are fortunate enough and there's a Hare Krishna devotees in Japan giving you mercy of the Lord, you'll probably be in a very degrading situation. So I was thinking, my God, I'm so fortunate that at least Krishna allowed me to stay few more years alive to practice Krishna consciousness. So I was thinking that at that moment, if I had left my body, what was my state of being at that time? Because yam vapi svaram bhavam, whatever your thoughts and consciousness are at the time of death, that's what's going to happen to you. And I'm thinking Bank of Japan, in Delhi, of all places. Even I'm not thinking Hastinapur. Even if I'm thinking that Delhi was ex-Hastinapur, at least there's chances of thinking about Mahabharata and Krishna and Yudhishthir and something to connect it with Krishna. But no, Bank of Japan, terrible. So this is a personal experience that any moment things can happen and we could be thinking about something completely obnoxiously crazy stuff. And what happens? You leave your body and then you end up in some unforeseeable place. Second experience, how Krishna is so kind, and I have full faith now after that experience that in 1993 I had to have a major operation in my neck. So the doctors came to me, and before the doctors, the council nurse came and said that it is our policy that before the patient goes into operation, because it's a major operation, so we give them counseling, and most people have fear for death. So she started trying to counsel me, and saying, are you fearful of death? I said, why fear death? Death is just a symptom of leaving this body and getting another body. And if you're fortunate, you go back to spiritual world. So I started preaching to her about Bhagavad Gita. And rather than she giving me counseling, I gave her counseling. And she was amazed that how you can speak like this. This is the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada has given us something very wonderful, that he has shown us no fear of death. As long as you are in the shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord and Guru, nothing can touch you, and you can really happily leave this world because Krishna is there for you. So after that, I was prepared and taken to the operating theatre. So the surgeon was there, and he was telling me that you got to sign this paper. I said, what is this paper you're signing? He's saying this is the consent form for us to operate you. And he said that in case you die, then your family members cannot sue you, or if the operation goes wrong, you cannot sue us because you are well aware of the facts of the seriousness of the operation. And he said there is 7% chance that you may die, 93% chance that you will survive. I said, okay, no problem. I signed. I said, if I die, I leave. It's in the hand of Krishna. But I told the anesthetic that when you give me the anesthetics to knock me out, how long will it take before I'm out? He said, this is the latest anesthetic. As soon as we put in the intravenous injection, less than a fraction of like a second, you'll be out. So I said, when you are ready to pump it in, let me know. So he said, I'm going to put it in now. So he said, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Boom, I'm out. I didn't even finish the mantra. I was going, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, and I'm out. Okay, now I'm out. I'm unconscious now. I don't know what the hell is going on. And there was about 4 hours of operation. After 4 hours, they took me into the recovery room, and there's a nurse slapping my face. So, Mr. Bhakta, and I'm going, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Now, there is like 4 hours gap between the first half of the mantra and second half of the mantra. And then I'm asking, the nurse, so when they're going to operate on me? Say, operation already done. I said, really? I'm out for 4 hours? But I felt so happy that I started chanting Hare Krishna, and when I came into consciousness, I was finishing the mantra. Means Krishna was still there and saying, I'm with you. And if I had left my body, I'm sure I would have gone, to the spiritual world, because the Maha Mantra was embedded in my mind, in my heart. So I have full faith that when Prabhupada says, when you take shelter of Supreme Lord, the Supreme Lord doesn't forget you. You may forget Him, but He doesn't forget you. Even in your times of desperation, when you've forgotten Him, He will come to you in some form or way and say, wake up, it's time to go back home. So even in most difficult situation, He will come. So we have to have that faith. But we cannot take it for granted that, Prabhupada says Krishna will never abandon me, so therefore it's okay, I can do some nonsense and Krishna will not abandon me. No, we have to show our sincerity that Krishna, I am with you all the time. And if because of my foolishness, if I become a little wayward or deviate, please bring me back. Because on my own, I may not be able to come. But I am fully depending on you, that you please help me. And in that prayer, Krishna will take care of us without fail. So we have to have that prayer all the time, that Krishna, you please take care of me. But as soon as you think, no, now I'm Krishna conscious, I'm okay, then Krishna says, okay, you're on your own, because you don't need me. But we should never be in a position where say, I am okay. Always we should feel, I'm not okay. Only I'm okay when Krishna, you are with me. And somehow or other, you please don't let me forget you. I always want to be with you. And even if Maya comes, please give me inner strength that I cannot forget you. I want to connect with you. Then we'll connect with Krishna and our lives will become successful. So I will thank you all very much for giving me your precious time here in Holy Dham and opportunity to speak a few of my personal realizations. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. So maybe 1 or 2 questions or comments if someone has. Yes, Panchagora Prabhu.
Jamil was lamenting about not taking care of his parents. Many of us join the movement and we feel we have some responsibility to take care of our parents, but many times we're told, well, they're just in Maya. that's Maya. Don't do that. So where's the responsibility as civilized human beings to show our debts to our parents, and how do we stay out of Maya by doing that?
Well, first of all, that whole concept, when you think that your parents are karmis, they are in Maya, so we should abandon them, that is a third-class mentality. Because as devotees, we are going out of our way to preach to people, to become Krishna conscious. So don't you think that you have responsibility towards your own parents who did so much for you, and you are what you are because of your parents? Therefore, I say in ISKCON that with being mindful that you do not get emotionally dragged into giving up Krishna consciousness, but you should visit your parents regularly and give them Krishna prasadam and encourage them to understand how wonderful it is to be a devotee of the Lord. And just like Vishnu Dutas came to Ajamil and changed the heart of Ajamil back to revive his consciousness, and again he became aware of his duties. Similarly, when we go and visit our parents, our relatives, they will at least may not become Krishna conscious because of their conditioning, but they will be appreciative of what you are doing. And as soon as they show appreciation for a devotee of the Lord, even though he may be the son or a daughter of theirs, Krishna will look that favorably, saying, here is the person is respecting my devotee. Therefore, Krishna in the heart of that person will also get the mercy. And if not this life, then next life, definitely they will take birth in a better position to be in a position where they can devote their lives to Krishna and be again delivered from the... So I personally feel that when I first joined, I made a condition because unfortunately I was waiting for the opportune moment to join the movement, so that I don't have any, I don't leave my parents in a lurch. So I told the temple that at least once a week, I have to go to my parents' home and help my father to do his cash and carry so he can buy produce for his business, because he was not driving the car and I was the only one who was driving the vehicle at the time. And he spent good money for me to learn to drive the car. So I thought that I am obliged now to help him. So of course, one of the devotees who was a leader there, he appreciated that. And he said, yeah, no problem. But there's another one, he's saying, you are in Maya. You are attached to your father and mother. I said, if I was attached to my father and mother, I would not have come to the temple. I would have stayed at home and chanted Hare Krishna. But I saw my heart, and my heart was saying, give your life to Prabhupada. Because when I read the book, the first book I received was Ishopanishad. And Prabhupada said in that the duty of a human being, when he realizes his true understanding, is to serve the Supreme Lord and give his life to Krishna. So I decided to give my life to Prabhupada and his society. But I had obligations. And as my obligations were being fulfilled, then my father also, I told my father that, you should also learn to drive the car so that, you can do your own work and I can pay more attention to my chosen way of life. And he was appreciative. And my father, in the beginning, of course, he was not very happy that I joined the movement. But now he's so proud, he goes everywhere and says, my son is a sannyasi in the Hare Krishna movement. And he's so proud of that. And he's always thinking, somehow, even though if he's thinking of me as his son, but he's thinking of Hare Krishna every time. So he may not give his life fully to the ISKCON, but he's doing many other spiritual duties and serving the local temple there in UK, and he's doing his dharma, but he's always favorable to ISKCON and Prabhupada. And I feel that as soon as he says, yes, Prabhupada is a wonderful person who has brought Krishna consciousness to the world, he appreciates me as a devotee, then Krishna looks favorably to him. So I said that any devotee should not abandon. Of course, I was going to speak more on those lines, but somehow Krishna took me on a different level to speak. But point is that what you are saying is perfectly correct, that we should not feel that because now I'm a devotee in the Hare Krishna movement, but my parents are karmis, so I should abandon them. Then if you think like that, the whole world is karmis. Why go out and preach to them? a devotee